Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. We're all done with the holidays. We're into a new year. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. Hopefully you got some rest and relaxed a little bit, had some fun. But we are back to education today. So we're going to be working on some really fun icy winter designs. I'm going to show you lots of different techniques here today, but let me go ahead and pull my chat up here. I will see what you guys are chit-chatting about, and we will get started in just a second. Let's see. Somebody says, oh, hi, I'm kind of early. You are right on time. You are the first person in the chat there. So welcome in. I'm just shortening up my nails to work on here today. Cut them up a little shorter there, get that free edge out of the way. And I always like to go shorter on my natural nails when I am sculpting or even when I'm putting a tip on. That way my natural nail, that free edge, isn't going to get in the way of my form and I'm not going to have to struggle with that. So that's why I like to shorten up the free edge here just a little bit before we do our sculpting. So just shortening those up, giving them a quick shape. I don't need to spend a ton of time making my shape perfect at this point. Just need to clean up around the edges, making sure that there's no sharp or rough edges around those sides. And I am going to take my table towel off of there, get a nice clean space to work on here. And we will always start by pushing back the cuticles. Let me find my cuticle pusher here. I'm going to be using our magic wand. This is our cuticle pusher. It's got the cuticle pusher on one end and then the C-curve pincher on the other end. We may or may not use that one today. We may or may not use that pinching end. We'll see how our shaping and all our style goes today. But we are going to start by pushing back the cuticles. And I always still show this even when I'm working on my trainer hand, even when I'm practicing, trying out new techniques. I always still go through and push back the cuticles. Even though there's really not cuticle to work with on our trainer hand, it still keeps you in the routine. So it's still going to help to keep that kind of in your mind so when you are working on a real client, you don't forget that step. Somebody says, can we see more videos of the low odor system? Absolutely, yes. Thank you for asking, you guys. I like to hear what you guys want to see, especially starting a new year. We can jump into some new techniques, different techniques. So yes, you guys, let us know. Let us know what you guys want to be seeing, what things you want to learn about. And we've kind of realized that we've got a lot of products that maybe a lot of you haven't seen before and you haven't used before. So if you're new to our channel, stick with us. If you've been around for a while, stick with us. We will definitely work on some new and different techniques. But for today, we are going to be using our traditional system. But yes, we will put that on our list of requests for you. So I'm going to start by prepping the surface of my nail. And you notice that I put in a brand new sanding band. I always change out my sanding band, whether I'm working on myself, whether I'm working on a trainer hand, or whether I'm working on my client. Always work with a new sanding band, so that way you're going to have the proper grit to it, and it's also going to be clean and sanitary. So we're going to go through, I'm just going to gently basically make contact with my bit to the nail. I'm not using any pressure. And then I'm going to work right up around the cuticle area and then just gently feather my bit all the way through the rest of that natural nail. What this is going to do up around the cuticle area, it's going to clean off any excess protein growth, any extra dry or dead cuticle that's stuck on the nail. And then as we feather through the rest of that nail plate, we're going to just be gently removing the shine and creating a slight texture to the nail. Now again, I'm just making contact with my bit. I'm not using any pressure. I've got my speed very low. I'm at about 4,000 RPMs right now. So this is going to be very gentle to the nail as long as you're using those proper techniques. If you're using any pressure or if you're staying in one spot repeatedly over and over, or if you're using too high of a speed, that's where your damage can come from. But because I'm using that low speed, I'm not applying pressure and I'm moving my bit throughout the nail, I'm not causing any damage to that nail surface. Now we're going to go through and just dust off the nails, and I'm just kind of cleaning off some of that extra dust from there. And if I come in really, really close, you can see there is still a little bit of dust on here. So just by dusting is not going to take off all of that dust. So what we want to do is we want to grab our swipe, and we're going to pump a little bit of the swipe onto our manicure brush. And we're going to use our manicure brush here to really scrub, and this is going to get all of those last tiny little pieces of dust off of the nail. And it's also going to help to take care of any germs or bacteria that's on the nail. So this way we're going to have a nice clean, dry surface, bacteria-free surface, germ-free surface to apply our acrylic to. And then we're going to use our protein bond. Now you guys, let me know in the chat, has anybody seen our recent, I don't want to say advertisement, announcement, that's the word I was going for, a recent announcement about our Wednesday deal? Anybody in the chat, let me know, have you heard about our Wednesday deal? Let me know. If you have, put a thumbs up in the chat and let me know, because I want to know. Because we've got a Wednesday deal starting tomorrow. We've got a Wednesday deal for 24 hours on the protein bond and the swipe. So if you are looking to get a great deal, you have to check out our website tomorrow. Again, Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. I keep forgetting what day it is, but tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got a deal with our protein bond and our swipe. Kim Murphy says, yes, you did see the announcement. That is exciting. More of you apparently have not. But you guys, make sure to check out our social media for this, our stories to hear the announcement, and also check out our website tomorrow to see what that deal is. So, all right, you guys, but notice I am putting on 2 coats of our protein bond. Protein bond is our bonder, and it works kind of like a double-sided tape. So it's going to create a really sticky surface for our acrylic to adhere to, and it's going to bond really, really well. Okay, I'm seeing a lot more of you guys that did see the announcement. That is awesome. You guys, do not miss these Wednesday deals. They are amazing. You guys, check them out. So don't miss out on that. Okay, we've got our second coat of protein bond on there. And somebody's got the practice hand for Christmas. Oh, that's so exciting. You guys, I love to see you guys using our trainer hand and using our techniques and our products because they are amazing. So I love that you guys are learning and getting those good deals. All right, so we are going to grab our form, and I'm going to take that little center tab out. I'm going to set that right on the back of my form. That's going to give my form a little bit more durability, a little bit more firmness. And we're going to roll that, and we're going to pinch those 2 little silver tabs together right at the end. Now, if you're going to be doing a regular straight square nail, you can leave that form open at the end so it creates a little bit more of that square, kind of a tube shape. Today we're going to be doing, I'm going to show you our little swap outs here. We're going to be doing a little bit more of a tapered square, not quite a coffin, but a little bit more of a tapered square look. So I'm actually going to pinch my form together at the end, and that's going to help to get a little bit more of a tapered look. So if you're going to be working and creating those tapered squares, if you're working and creating a coffin shape, an almond shape, or a stiletto shape, that's where you do want to pinch that tab or that form together at the end to create that tapered structure. Okay, so I'm going to start by just applying my form to 1 nail down here at the end. Now you guys, when I'm working on a real client, I will put my forms on all 5 of the nails. I'll sculpt out all 5 of the nails, and then I'll go to the next hand and apply the forms and sculpt out those nails. On the trainer hand, I feel like it works a little bit better if you apply 1 form at a time, so that way you're not going to be bumping the forms as you go, because they don't stick as well to the trainer hand as they do to a real person. So that's just one of my little tricks here when you're practicing on the trainer hand. And I'm going to grab a few of my table towels, and these are the same table towels as what I've got in front of me here. I just cut them up into smaller pieces. And we're going to grab our monomer, and I've got a little bit of liquid in there still from the last time I was working. So I am going to clean out my Dappen dish here, soak up that extra monomer out of there. And I'm going to go back to my magic wand here using that little pincher tool. I'm going to, again, clean out my Dappen dish. I always want to make sure that I'm starting with a clean Dappen dish, and I'm going to be using clean, fresh monomer every time. So this way I'm going to get, again, really good consistency with my product and a good clean application. And let me grab my acrylic brush here. Today the brush that I'm using, this is Greg's Signature Series brush. It's a size 12, you can see right up on there. So it's a larger size brush, but it does come to that really nice tight point. And if you take a look at it here, you can see it's got a little crimp right through there. So if you take a look from the side, you're going to be able to see that it comes to a little bit more of a wedge, and then it's a little bit more flat if you rotate it that way. So it's not a round brush. It does have that little crimp in there, so it's got a flat edge to it. We're going to take our monomer, and again, you guys, today I am working with our traditional acrylic system. We do have a low odor. I'm not going to say an odorless, but a low odor system as well. But today we're going to be using our traditional system. And you work with whatever is going to be good for you. All right, we've got our monomer. To start out with, I'm going to show you guys here. I'm going to give you a little preview here. I'm going to show you guys a solid cover nail, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of dimensional art for you. But for our solid color nail, we're going to be working with our cover pink. And this is a very pretty opaque pink. And I love this one when I'm just doing like nude sets, or if I'm going to be working and doing a lot of art and design over the top of the nail. It's just a good solid cover of acrylic. And somebody is asking, what's the name of the brush again? The brush that I am using, this is Greg's Signature brush. It is a size 12. And everything that I'm using here today, you guys, you can find on our website, youngnails.com. So make sure to check that out if there's anything that you're looking for. All right. So to start our first nail here, let me make sure you guys can see this. I want to make sure you can see exactly what I'm doing here. There we go. I think that's going to be good. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to pick up my pearl and I'm going to set it down onto my form. Now when I'm sculpting out on my form here, I want to make sure that my product isn't going to run out of control. So I'm going to tap the back side of my brush, release a little bit of the liquid from my brush. Now I'm going to turn my brush over, and I tapped out the back side of my brush. Now I'm going to use the front side of my brush here to pick up that pearl, because that's where all of the liquid is. So I'm going to kind of press and pull. I'm going to bounce, bounce, bounce. Now I'm going to allow that powder to absorb, and then I'm going to drain out the extra liquid. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what that's going to do, I'm going to kind of bring that in a little closer. You're going to see, let me drain this out just a little bit more. I'm going to almost over exaggerate it here so you can really see what I'm talking about. When you drain out that extra liquid, I think you can see, it's going to bring that pearl a little bit more to a matte look. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring our pearl to more of a clay-like form. So it's not going to run on my form, but I'm going to be able to almost mold and manipulate that product. So again, I'm going to wait until the powder absorbs. I'm going to drain the liquid. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll set that right on the form in front of that nail. I'm going to press that down and wipe out my brush. So at this point, you don't see that it's running. It's just starting to soften a little bit, but it's not running all over the place and getting out of control. Now I can use that flat edge of my brush, press that out from side to side. I can use the side of my brush to tuck in, press that product up into the corner, slide straight in, press that product up into the corner. And because I brought this more to a clay-like form, it's not going to run down the form out of control. I've got really good control as to where I'm moving that. I'm able to move my product with my brush, and I don't have to do any chasing, or I really don't have to work very hard to get my product where I want it. Now I am going to start to bring that product down the length of the form. Again, tucking in on the sides with the edge of my brush, creating a little bit more of that tapered shape. So just tapering that in a little bit on the free edge, bringing it not quite to the point down here, but just bringing it a little bit more narrow as I get down the length of the form. So again, you can see I'm bringing it more to that tapered shape. Take a look here, you can see. Now, if you wanted to do more of a coffin shape, You could completely square this off, or kind of what I'm doing is a tapered square shape. Just turn your brush on the side, press in on that free edge, or you could have brought that down a little bit more to an almond shape down at the end of that form. So just a personal preference, whatever shape you're going for, you can create that shape as you're sculpting this in. Okay, we've got our free edge built out. Now at this point, I need to build up the rest of the structure from the cuticle all the way through the free edge. And I want to keep my cuticle area nice and thin, but I want to build up a little bit more thickness right in the stress area here, keeping my free edge also nice and thin. So to build up that proper arch to the nail, what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle the finger downward. I'm going to pick up my pearl and I'm going to set my pearl down. I'm going to turn this on the side so you guys can see from the side view. I'm going to set my pearl at the cuticle area, and what's going to happen is by setting that pearl down, having that finger angled downward, my product is going to start to flow down the length of the nail. Now, the difference between working on that form versus working over the whole nail, on my form, I drained out that liquid and brought that product a little bit more to that clay-like form so that it didn't run. That's what I did on the free edge. What I want to happen is I want it to flow. So on this bead, instead of draining it out, I'm not going to release all of that extra liquid. What I am going to do, I'm just going to hold that pearl for just a couple of seconds, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then I'm going to set that down at my cuticle area. A little bit of pressure, release my brush. Now I'm going to use the point of my brush to tuck right around that cuticle area. This is going to help to keep my product nice and thin at that cuticle area, but it's also going to keep everything tapered, and it's going to allow that product to flow down the length of the nail. You can kind of see it was moving a little bit. Once it stops moving, I'm going to lift up, and then I'm just going to blend out just the edge of that pearl. By blending out just the edge, you're going to see that's just going to kind of blend right down into what I've got. But if we look at it from the side view, actually I'm going to turn my brush on the side here, and I'm going to blend out that edge, getting that nice and flush down to that natural nail. But by keeping my brush at an angle here, keeping that finger angled downward, again, that's going to help to keep that product nice and thin and tapered at the cuticle area. A little bit more thickness in my stress area right where I need it. But then I'm going to fill in this free edge area. So let me come back in. I'm going to pick up another pearl, tap the back side. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. This one I'm just going to drain out 1, 2. So just a little bit of that liquid. I'm going to turn my brush around, set that pearl down, and I'm going to blend that back up to that stress area. So creating that proper structure and shape. Now I can turn my brush back around. I'm going to press that product and then again blend that down to the free edge. If I need to, I can wipe my brush as I go. I want to make sure that I'm not picking up any of that acrylic onto my brush. So you do notice that as I blend through, I do wipe my brush a good amount, just to make sure that I don't have residue on my brush. I'm going to blend backwards just a little bit here, blend back. And what that's going to do by blending back up to that stress area, that's going to help to keep my free edge area nice and thin and tapered, and it's going to bring the thickness up to that stress area. Now you guys, I know you're probably looking at this thinking, wow, that is very thick in that stress area, and it is a little bit thicker than what I need, but that's okay. That will file out. What you want to make sure of, though, is that you have nice thin and tapered at your cuticle area, nice and thin and tapered at your free edge, a little bit thicker in your stress area, and then you can file the rest of that structure in. As long as you've got that proper structure in there to begin with, you can file it into the proper shape. If you sculpted a nail that was too thin and you try to go and file, you're going to file off too much and you're not going to have the proper structure. So I would rather you apply a little bit too much in your stress area there and then take it down a little bit versus not applying enough, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do our second nail. In the meantime, you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so we can offer you more free education. So anybody that wants to join our community, hit that subscribe button. We love having you here. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pop our form on there. And I start with my form at just a slight downward angle. I want you guys to see this a little bit better. So I'm going to start with my form at a slight downward angle. I'm going to bring that right up underneath that natural nail and then lift up at the end. And let me show you this from the side view so you can see. What's going to happen is, as we bring that form up underneath that natural nail, it's going to just catch that natural nail, and I'm going to lift that up, and it is going to come straight out from the sides here. You guys, my light just turned off, and I'm not sure what just happened here, so I apologize if the screen got a little bit darker. I hope everything is looking okay still on camera here. I think we're going to be good, but for some reason, my light just turned off. All right, let's go ahead and we'll sculpt out our second nail. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to dab our brush into our liquid, tap out the back side. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to allow that powder to absorb into the liquid. I'm going to drain the excess. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to set that right down onto my form. Set that down. I'm going to wipe out my brush. I'm going to use the fat part of my brush to just press that out from side to side. I'm going to tuck in with the edge of my brush, walk that up into the corner. Tuck in with the edge of my brush, press all the way across the nail, come back from the other side, tuck in on the side. I'm going to press that up into the corner. Tuck in on the side, press that bulk right up into the corner. Tuck in on the side, walk that right up into the corner. Then we're going to come back across, again tucking in on those edges. I'm going to press across the surface of the nail, making sure that everything is nice and even in thickness. Tucking in, making that a little bit more tapered. I'm going to wipe my brush out here. Just tucking in on those edges, tapering that in a little bit. Now you guys, as I'm walking my brush across the nail, notice, I'm going to show you this from the side here. Notice that as I work, I press, press, press. I'm not just taking my brush and sliding it across. That's going to squish up your product. You want to make sure you just press, press, press. That's what's going to give you that nice even thickness from one side to the other. Okay, I'm going to turn my brush on the edge, straighten out that free edge. Now, if you don't straighten out your free edge perfectly, that's okay, because I'm going to file these with my electric file at the end, and that's what I'm going to use to straighten up and perfect that shape. Okay, so don't worry if you don't get your shaping perfect. You can always do that with your electric file. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to angle that finger downward, and we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4. Angle that finger down. I'm going to set my pearl onto the nail, and this one I'm going to just wipe out a little bit of that liquid. I'm going to use the point of my brush, press. I'm going to pivot my brush on the sides, pressing that up around the cuticle area, getting that nice and thin and tapered. And then my product has stopped flowing. I'm going to pivot my brush, turn that brush on the side, and I'm going to blend out that edge. Same thing over here. Pivot my brush on the side, and then we'll blend out the edge of that pearl. I'm not pulling all of the product from the center of the nail down the length. I want to leave just a little bit of thickness right in that stress area. But I am just blending out the edge of it. And again, on my edges, notice how I pivot my brush. I turn my brush, I'm going to show you here. I turn my brush on the side, so this way I can use that brush almost like a wedge. So right on those edges to get everything nice and thin and tapered on those sides. You don't want to be just brushing all the way through like this. If you brush through like this, you're going to brush product onto the skin. So make sure that you're pivoting that brush, use that brush as a wedge, and just blend out those edges. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and fill in that little bit right in our free edge here. We're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce. I'm going to drain out 1, 2, just a little bit. We're going to set that down, blend that back up to the stress area, pulling all the way through. Now I'm going to wipe out and turn my brush around. I'm going to press that product from side to side. There is a little something in there. I don't know what that was, but we don't want that in there. And again, just going back and pressing that product out from side to side, making sure it's nice and even all the way across. I'm going to blend out that product, blend back up to that stress area, and then blend forward. Okay, you guys, now I've got 2 nails on here. I want to know what you guys want to see. Do you guys want to see another pink nail like this one? Or do you want to see a little bit more of our glitters and our fun stuff to add into your set? Let me know in the chat. If you want to see the pink nail, put a pink heart in the chat. If you want to see the glitter and the sparkles and all the fun stuff, put a blue heart in the chat. Let me know. I want to see what you guys would like to see. But in the meantime, our nails are starting to set up. So if we take a look at this one, if I tap this one, you can hear that sharp clicking sound, okay? That product is set. That's not going anywhere. That's not moving anywhere. On this nail, this one is, if I tap it, it's actually still pretty soft. I do still need to wait a little bit more. But if your product is not quite set, that's where you can use that magic wand and you can pinch in a little bit more of a C curve. So again, this one is still not quite set, so I'm not going to pinch that one just yet. But on this one, if it hadn't been quite set, we could use that magic wand and we can pinch in a little bit of a tighter C curve. So if you feel like you need a little bit more C curve, you can pinch in on those sides, okay? All right, you guys, I'm seeing a lot of blue hearts in the chat there, so I will go ahead and get another form. We will sculpt out some glitters here, add some fun stuff to our set. So let's go ahead and put our tab on the back. I'm going to pinch my 2 little tabs together here, and we'll get that form. Let me open up my top perforation there. I'm going to open up that form. We'll get that right up underneath that natural nail. Rock that up so it's coming straight out. Now, you guys, I did want to show you those techniques using the cover pink because I like to show how the product works and how it moves, and it's a lot easier to see when you're working with the cover pink. But when I'm working and doing my dimensional nails and my glitters and my fun stuff, I like to use our Speed Clear. This is a very clear acrylic, and this is what we're going to basically build out basically a platform on. So we're going to build a platform to do all of our design work. Now, I'm going to take this top little table towel off. I'm going to give myself a nice clean space to wipe my brush on. And we'll pick up our pearl. Same exact way that I was doing with the pink. Bounce my brush in there. Allow that powder to absorb. I'm going to drain 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set that onto my form right in front of that natural nail. Wipe out my brush. I'm going to press the product out. This one's moving just a little bit more, but we're going to press that up into the corner. Use the edge of my brush to tuck in on the side. Walk that up into the corner. In on the side. Now I'm going to walk all the way across, pressing all the way across, tuck in on the side, walk that bulk up into the corner, tuck in on the side, and again, just like we were doing with the cover pink, I'm going to bring that product down the length of the nail, or the length of the form, creating the nail and the length that we want. Just going to blend that out, brushing that out a little bit more, tapering that in on the sides, tapering that in on the sides a little bit more. You guys, I think this one is getting a little bit longer than what I wanted, which is fine. You can either file off the length when you have that nail sculpted out, or one other little quick trick that I like to do, I'm going to use my little spatula here. Sometimes if that nail gets excessively long and I don't want it quite that long, I just rock that little spatula right across the nail and clean off that end. So that's going to just make things a little bit easier for me when I'm finishing it. Okay, at this point, we're going to do something a little bit different. So on our solid color nails, we just built up the whole structure from cuticle to free edge. With our dimensional nails, which is what we're going to be working with now, we actually are going to be creating kind of a layered technique here. Now, I'm going to be working with some of our slick pour powders, which are our colored acrylics. And anytime I put colored acrylic or glitter up on the natural nail, I like to pick up a very small pearl. So I'm just going to pick up a very small pearl, and I'm going to leave that fairly wet. I'm going to set that right up at my cuticle area, press that out. I'm going to wipe out my brush, and then I'm going to just blend that through. Now, you guys, this is not going to create any structure. This is not going to create any thickness or anything like that. I may even add just a tiny, tiny little bit more, right up in through here. But what this is going to do, this is actually going to protect the natural nail when I go to change out my designs. So when I change out my design, I'm actually going to file off the color and the glitter. And by having this little thin layer of clear underneath, I'm never going to file down to my natural nail. So that is the purpose of applying that clear onto that natural nail. Now at this point, if I were doing a full set, I could go through and I could finish this whole nail, but what I actually like to do is I like to build out the structure of my design nails first, and then I'll go back. And the reason for that, you guys, there's a method to my madness here. But the reason that I like to build out my enhancement or build out kind of that platform first is so that way I can pinch in a C-curve if I need to. When we're doing our dimensional work and we're doing our design work, if you build up your designs, and again, we're going to be doing layers here. If you build up your layers, by the time you get to your top layer, this bottom layer is already set, and you might not be able to pinch that into your C-curve. So you might not have the time to pinch that tighter shape to it, okay? So that's why I do like to go through and build out my platform and create that kind of working space, and then I'll go through and I'll do the rest of my design work. It's a personal preference. If you want to do your whole entire nail all together at once, you can absolutely do that. But for me, it's just easier to create that platform, pinch in my C-curve, and then build the rest of the structure and the design and dimension into my nail. So just like we were doing before, I apply that pearl right on the free edge, press it out from side to side, tuck in with the edges of my brush, tucking that in, bringing that down the length of my form, tucking that in as needed. And I think I'm going to shorten this one up as well, just really quickly using my spatula, rock that right through, cut off that end. Now, I am going to thin this out just a little bit more, just cleaning out my brush here. I want to make sure that my free edge is very, very thin. So this way, when I do build my glitter and my other colored acrylics into this, I'm not going to end up filing off those colors. So I don't know if you guys can see here from the free edge here, it's going to be very nice and thin right there on that free edge. And you guys, I'm not sure, yeah, camera's looking a little bit blurred at that edge there, but that's okay. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Okay, so at this point, whoops, I forgot. I need to apply one more thin layer of that clear right up onto my natural nail to help protect that. So when I do change out my designs, I'm not going to be filing all the way down to that natural nail. I'm just going to file down to that layer of clear to help protect that natural nail. All right, so at this point, you guys, this is what I'm talking about pinching in your C-curve. So at this point, my free edge is still pretty flexible, but I want to tighten that curve up a little bit. I want to taper that in just a little bit more. And if you're doing a square nail, that's where you can use the magic wand, that same tool I was using to push back cuticles. You can use that magic wand to press in the C-curve. But when you're doing a little bit more of a tapered nail, you can see that magic wand doesn't quite get all the way to those edges. So that's where I will use my fingers. But you guys, my acrylic is dry enough. I'm not getting chemicals on my skin. So my product is set. I'm just going to pinch that in a little bit tighter, get that C-curve pressed in there. And then I can actually take my form off. Now, when I take my form off, I do want to be careful. There's not a whole lot holding that free edge on there. If we take a look from the side, you can see that there's not a lot of thickness to that nail right now. So do make sure that you take that form off very carefully. And again, you don't have to take the form off, but I like to when I'm working with my colored acrylics and my dimensional nails, because this way I can actually see what I'm applying. I'm going to see what that nail is really going to look like once I'm done. So you guys, I forgot to tell you what colors I'm using. We're going to be working with some of our slick pour colors, and these are technically our dip powders. So if you're working and doing dip nails, you can use them as that, but they are acrylics, so you can use them as acrylic with your monomer. And we're going to be working with Bahama Blitz. That is our glitter today. We've also got Free Fall, which is our light blue color. And then one other color that I'm going to be working with is our Core. Whoops, where did it go here? our core, did I lose it? Oh, core white sparkle. So it's a softer white, but it's got a little bit of shimmer to it, and I don't think you can see that on camera. But those are the colors that we're going to be using. And then the glitters we're going to be using are Nightlight, which has got a really pretty shimmer to it. And we've also got Stitches, which is probably one of my favorites for the blues. So this one is going to be kind of those little rectangular pieces of glitter. So those are the colors that we are going to be working with today. And I'm just going to basically do kind of a color blend, kind of a color melt, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to be blending some colors together. So we're going to start with, oh, you guys, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what colors you start with. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up a little bit of each color. And I'm going to leave this fairly wet. I'm going to set that onto the nail, just kind of dabbing through and allowing that to just kind of melt out. Let me come in a little bit closer. I want you guys to really see this. So as you're working with these colors, you can just start to kind of blend them together. I've got a little bit of that core white sparkle. So just kind of blending those together. And again, as I'm working with these products very wet. So that way they're just, you can see better with this one. They're just going to start to melt out as I tap through them. Just melting out that color. And I'm going to bring that up to my cuticle area. Just kind of tapping through, fading that glitter out. And maybe let's put a little bit more of that glitter. Whoops. Hold on. Drop my pearl in there because I wasn't paying attention. All right, so let me grab just a little bit more of that blue. Maybe we'll add that right down at the base down here. And again, just kind of tapping that through, letting that color melt out, letting that just kind of fade in. And I think maybe we're going to add just a tiny little bit more of that glitter right up by the cuticle here. I think I'm going to bring my glitter all the way to my cuticle on that one. Now, as our acrylic is still a little bit wet here, I'm going to pick up some of those confettis or some of those glitters. I'm just going to tap my brush into those, and I'm going to set that right down into that wet acrylic. Now, I'm using a kind of a chunkier piece of glitter right here in the blue, in the glittery area. Just making sure to really press those down in. I want to make sure that my glitter is actually secure down into my acrylic. So getting some pressure on there. Now, if you feel like your product isn't sticking anymore, take a little bit, let me back out here just a little bit. Take a little bit more of your Speed Clear, just a small little pearl, and you can just gently, just kind of wash that right over. Just applying a little bit of that clear over, and then you can pick up a little bit more of your glitters and add those right into that wet layer of clear. So as you're working, as you're doing your designs, you're layering glitter, you're layering acrylic, but notice that I'm leaving it very, very thin as I go. I'm not applying a lot of product. I'm not trying to build up a lot of structure at this point. Just adding enough to kind of re-wet the surface and allow me to add in my glitters. So again, another tiny little pearl of that clear and a little bit more of my confettis here, setting those right down in there. Now, at this point, you guys, I'm going to show you this from the side. This nail does not have a whole lot of structure yet. Okay, if we take a look at the other nails that we built out, these do have that proper structure, but by doing our dimension, we haven't built up structure into this nail. So for this one, now we do need to add structure, and that's where we're going to use the same techniques that we did to overlay our pink nails. We're going to now overlay our glitter. So we're going to do basically that same thing. We are going to pick up a pretty large size pearl here. I'm going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set that right at my cuticle area. I'm going to press out that cuticle area. That nail is angling downward, so my product is going to flow down the length of the nail. And I'm capping or sealing in all of that glitter, all of that confetti, all of that fun stuff, because I don't want to be filing off any of that glitter. So that's why we need to make sure that we're sealing it in and building structure with our clear. If we were to just finish the nail with the glitter and go to file it, you'd end up filing off all of your glitter. You'd file off your whole entire design. So you want to make sure that you are capping that whole design with clear. Same thing as we did on our pink nails. I'm going to pick up one more small pearl, drain out just a little bit of that liquid. I'm going to turn my brush around, set that down at my free edge, and I'm going to blend back to seal in that free edge. Pressing all the way through, capping all the way to the end, and then we'll just blend all the way through. All right, you guys, I'm going to do one more design here. Make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our community, continue to get the free education that we're offering. I'm going to remove my form. Again, my extension here is set. It is still a little bit pliable. It's set, it's dry, but it still is a little bit pliable because it's so thin. So if you still need to press in a little bit of a C curve, you can still do that at this point, okay? So same thing. I'm going to grab my glitters, my colored acrylics. Again, we'll pick up a pearl. Let's see, what do we do on that one? Maybe we'll kind of do the opposite. So on this one, maybe we'll put a little bit of that glitter right in the center. Tapping that out, keeping that product fairly wet so you can see it's going to flow a little bit, allowing that product to just blend out. We'll grab a little bit of maybe that blue. Again, keeping that on the wetter side, allowing that to flow. Now you guys, make sure that it's not flowing down into the cuticle area or into the sidewalls. I still keep that finger angled slightly downward when I'm working and applying my colors here. So that way it's not gonna run back into the cuticle. And I'm just gently using the point of my brush to just kind of tap that back towards the cuticle area. And maybe let's grab a little bit of that core white sparkle, just adding in, maybe we'll add that right in through there. Just kind of tapping that in, blending that around the edges. And then maybe just a little more of that blue right down at that free edge. Just going to kind of gently guide that into place a little bit more, pressing that out. I kind of like how that product it's just swirling together. And this is where doing designs and doing dimensional work like this gets really fun, is you can just kind of let that product flow, let it do what it's going to do. Maybe add a little bit more of that glitter right up in the top here. Just kind of blending that in. All right, I think I'm liking that. Let's go ahead and add our glitters in. So again, our acrylic is still a little on the wetter side, but if you feel like your glitters aren't sticking to it at this point, you can add in a little bit more of that speed clear. So I'm going to grab just a tiny little pearl of that clear. I'm going to blend that through just to almost re-wet the surface. One more time, adding a little bit of that clear, and then we'll grab our confettis, just setting those right down in. We'll grab a little bit more of those kind of rectangular pieces. And again, you guys, create the patterns that you want to create. You can use all kinds of different colors, different glitters. You guys, we have a ton of different slick pour acrylics. And again, the slick pour is our colored acrylic, but you can use it as a dip. Well, it's technically a dip powder, but you can use it as an acrylic. You can use it all kinds of different ways. Again, we've got a little bit of structure going on here, but we still need to build up the rest of our structure to support the nail. So we're going to go back to our speed clear. We are going to pick up a good sized pearl. We're going to press and pull, bounce, bounce, bounce. Let that absorb for just a couple of seconds. I'm going to set that right at our cuticle area. We're going to press out the cuticle, pressing all the way around that cuticle, allowing that product to run down the length of the nail. I'm going to turn my brush on the side. I'm going to blend out that side. Same thing over here, blend out that side. And then we'll blend all the way through, bringing a little bit more of that product down the length of the nail. And we'll pick up one more pearl, press and pull, bounce, bounce. This one I'm going to drain 1, 2, turn my brush around, blend that back up into that stress, or into that stress area, wipe out my brush, and then I'm going to pull that product down the length of the nail. Pressing that all the way from side to side, blending that out. And then if I need to, again, I can pull that back up towards my cuticle area. All right, you guys, what do you think so far? Are you enjoying our designs? If you are, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join our community, get free education along with us. And we've got our beautiful set sculpted out. Now, at this point, this is where I would normally go through and I would file out the nails. But you guys, I'm not gonna make you watch me file nails today. I've actually done some nails and pre-done them. So we're just gonna swap these out really quick. And I'm gonna show you how I would finish them. So what I've got on here, got my nails already done. I've already polished one of them with our gel polish, but I just want to show you guys how you can incorporate all of these different techniques into your full sets. So we've got a couple of nails that I've done the dimension on. I've got one nail that I've got a beautiful gel polish color on. You could leave this other one here as just a pink as an accent, or you could finish that with the gel polish as well. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So to finish the nails, again, you guys, I've already gone through and I've filed the nails out and just finished filed with a 150 grit hand file. So that's the file that I used to finish with. And then I'm going to grab my manicure brush and I'm going to dust everything off, getting all of that extra dust off of the nails, dusting that really well. And again, we're going to go back to our swipe. We're going to use a little bit of swipe on our manicure brush. We're going to go through and give the nails one more scrub, again, getting rid of all of that excess dust, all of the germs, any oils that, as we may have been touching the nails, it's going to clean off those surface oils. And we're going to go in with one more coat of our protein bond. And again, you guys, if you haven't heard about our Wednesday deal, we've got a Wednesday deal on our website. So you need to check back onto our website, youngnails.com, for the deal on the protein bond and swipe. I'm not going to tell you what the secret deal is, but you guys can go to the website tomorrow and check out that secret deal. Okay, so we are going to apply, oops, let me get a little bit of dust off of there. We're going to apply one more coat of our protein bond from the cuticle to the free edge. And this is going to really help to adhere our top coat. And on our dimensional nails, what's going to happen is by adding that extra coat of protein bond, it's going to really help to make these nails look like glass. So I'm going to come in nice and close here. So you can kind of see on this side where I haven't put my protein bond on, versus after I put my protein bond on, you're going to see that shine really, really come out. Now, we are going to put a top coat on this, so it's not finished, but that the protein bond is actually going to help to really bring out that high shine. Okay? All right, so let me come back out here. Now, we're going to be using on our pink nail here, this color is called Hope GPS, and this is one of our new gel polishes. It is an absolutely beautiful, kind of an icy blue. And you guys, I love this for the winter, but it's also going to be a great color for the spring. So for spring break kind of nails, it's a great color for that too. But these are very pigmented gel polishes. So as you're applying them, you want to make sure that you're applying them thin. Now, I like to start about halfway up the nail, especially when I'm working on my, let me come in a little closer, especially when I'm working on longer extensions like this. So this way I can make sure to really cap my edges all the way around. I can cap that free edge if I need to, cap my edges here. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to brush back from the cuticle all the way forward. So this way, if I did get a little bit, you can see there, I got a little bit of excess product on the free edge when I was capping that free edge. Now when I brush through, that's going to pull all of that excess off. Okay. Now you do want to make sure that you are getting the product nice and thin. And I kind of press my brush down. You can see I press it down. I do a little bit of a wiggle. I didn't get shaky there for a second. Sometimes I do, but I do intentionally kind of wiggle that brush So it just pushes that gel polish right back up towards my cuticle, and then I'm going to pull that right down the edges all the way through the length of that nail. Same thing on the other side, pull all the way down through the edge, all the way through the length of the nail. Now I am going to kind of go through and just pull some of that excess off because I don't want my product on there very thick. I want a nice thin application so it is going to fully cure all the way through. Okay, now we're going to go through it and we're going to do a second coat of that. But you guys, I want you to let me know in the chat also, do you want to see either a matte top coat or do you want to see the shiny top coat? You guys, we've got some options here. So when you're working over the gel polishes, you can either use our matte non-tack top coat, or you can use our traditional gel polish top coat. It gives it a nice high shine. So let me know in the chat what you want to see. Do you want to see a high shine or do you want to see a matte? And sometimes I like to do maybe one of each. So maybe we can do that. But you guys let me know. Let me know what you want to see. Now, another thing to think about is when you're doing your dimensional designs, a lot of times I will still do a matte finish over the dimensional looks, and it's just going to give you a different kind of a look. So keep that in mind. Your dimensional nails with the glitters and everything, they don't always have to be high shine. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, shiny matte. Okay, this one I'm going to cure another 60 seconds. When you're working with the gel polishes, these do need to cure in the light for a full 60 seconds to fully cure them all the way through. So some people are saying shiny, some are saying matte. So I think on this last one here, I will finish it with the matte. So that way you guys can see, I've got the one that's done with the shiny top coat, and then I'll do this next one with the matte. Do you want to see the glitter nails with a matte or a shiny? Let me know that in the chat as well, because it's sometimes a fun change. But you guys, at this point, you guys want to see shiny? Okay, we'll go ahead and do shiny to finish out our glitter nails here, and we're going to do a matte to finish this one. This one's already got that shiny finish on there. But you guys, if you are new to our channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And we are going to go ahead and start our top coat chant in the chat because that is where we're at. We're going to be using our matte non-tack top coat on our blue nail here, and we're going to be using our shiny gel polish top coat on the rest of them. But if you are new to our channel and you don't know what our top coat chant is, all that is typing in top coat, top coat, top coat into the chat. And I'm going to polish on our top coat so you guys can see our final look. And again, you guys, if you are new to our channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join our community, continue to get free education, learn how to do nails, learn how to do beautiful, sparkly, shiny designs, and just have some fun with us. All right, so we're going to do our matte non-tack top coat on this nail here. There was a little piece of fuzz or something that cured into that nail. Guys, I'm not going to worry about that today, but normally I would clean that up. But we're going to leave that there for today. I'm just going to use my Polish Perfector Detailer brush. I had a little bit of that top coat that got around the edges, so I just wanted to make sure to clean that up. And we'll go ahead and do our top coat, our high shine top coat on our second dimensional nail here. And just brushing from cuticle to free edge. Now again, with our top coats, you still want to cure these for a full 60 seconds. I think I'm going to pop these in here maybe for 30 seconds just to kind of freeze those into place, and that way you guys, I can show you the final looks of them. Somebody says, so we can see the difference. You want to see glossy and shiny? Okay, so I did do one shiny, so over the gel polish color, I did do one shiny and then one matte, so you guys will be able to see the difference on that. And maybe you guys, if you want to see the difference, all right, there we go. There we go. Let me come out just a little bit. Maybe we'll try to come in a little bit closer. There we go. Now you guys can really get a good view of that. So we do have that shiny on our on our ring finger here, and we do have that matte finish on that middle finger. We've got the shiny on both of those glitter dimensional nails. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our community, get free education with us here. Welcome back from the holidays. Happy New Year to you guys, and hopefully these icy nails will keep you a little bit warmer in these colder months. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you guys back next time.